On occasion, we drink too much.
On occasion, we do.
We may have just recorded last week 2 episodes. We drank way too much.
In all fairness, it was a birthday bash as well as pod night.
It's true. This week, we're going to hold it together, though.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt
Dude,
it.
I got a bomber of a barley wine.
That's
Oh,
not
really? Oh, okay.
That's not in my purview. But I will maintain my shit to the best of my ability until I no longer can, and then I'm going to start talking about hugging trees and fucking dancing marmosets.
People really like that. The trees
Rubik's Cube hot
feelings.
dogs. I'm going to fucking go off the deep end. But until then, we are going to deliver some straight ass facts and legitimate paranormal knowledge on this motherfucking podcast.
Welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I'm Mark Storrs. With me, as always, is
Krusty J.
Oh
my God, yeah.
Oh my God,
Are you
that's a
the-
sea salt name.
Are you the third member of the Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah.
Krusty J.
Yep.
All right. Well, welcome to the Dark Carnival, Krusty J. And you are.
Rob Morphy.
All right. Good.
Standardized.
It's fairly well lit, though, my carnival.
Yeah, no one wants a gloomy carnival.
You have a well-lit carnival?
Yeah, I don't want to walk in and not see shit.
Dark alley in a carnival is just Toby Hooper's Funhouse all over again. There's going to be a split-faced mutant and some horrible gypsy that wants to stab your eyes out. It's not a good scene.
That's all of them that they all do.
That's most all carnivals, though.
And
really.
behind every tent, it's the smell of elephant shit and regret. And fucking, and you slip on something and you hope it's not semen or blood, and you're just glad when you can get up and run away.
And the corpse of a devil boy that's not.
That's not a devil boy.
Oh, the devil boy.
It's a piece of driftwood. I was so mad.
I might have pictures of that, actually.
The
I think I
lies
do.
of the monster house, the freak monster house. It's a shame. I don't want to see real human oddities, but I always want to see the real fucking mermaid or the crocodile boy or whatever the fuck else.
Yeah.
And it's always garbage.
But
it's
there's
like
at
3
least-
balloons and a fucking birthday cake, and
Yeah.
it's like, this is not a rat boy.
There's at least one living thing, though, when you went in those. Or 2. Like,
You're
smallest
right.
person ever, and it was just a really, really small little person.
Yeah.
I'd be like, the goat that shouldn't be. And you're like, what is that? And then you walk in, and you're like, why shouldn't it be? And then it's just like it's got 3 horns, and you can see the duct tape, and you're
Yeah.
like, fuck
Yeah.
off.
My favorite was always the
I want my
giant.
50 cents back.
I always like the giant rat because it's a little capybara.
It's always that.
And I just want to hug it. I just want to put it like in a
'Cause they're
little
so
thing.
adorable.
Yeah.
I love capybaras.
Okay, I may have looked into what you have to do to own a capybara. You
Really?
need to have more than one
That makes sense.
because they're communal, and they have to have access to like a pool.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if
they're
you build
water.
a pool and you have a little enclosure, you could have a little capybara family.
Even in New York State.
I don't know about the licensing.
Yeah. We're
Not
pretty
what you gotta
stringent
do.
up here about
Yeah.
wild
Still.
fauna.
I would like to have one. They're cute.
course, they're
It's
adorable.
a super giant rodent.
Snuggle beaver.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on iTunes and the Apple Podcast. We love the positive response we've been getting from you guys, and of course, it always helps us with the rankings in the Apple Podcast app because they have their own algorithm that we don't understand.
We do not.
But we just know that the more ratings and reviews we get, the higher up we go in the rankings.
Reaping the benefits without understanding the tech.
So we've got some reviews to go over here real quick. Facts and Science 5-star review by Pickle Rick.
Oh!
717. Funny and entertaining as the Dickens, as Rob would say. I've binged the whole catalog over the last few weeks and love them all. The Devil's Holes are my fave so far. Keep up the great work. Please do more of the ESMB episodes.
You can rest assured that there are plenty on the horizon.
We've got some Evil Science and Magic buddies in the works.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the compliment. And
Thank you, Pickle Rick.
for life.
There you go. All right. So moving on here, we got this comes to us from Sierra. 5-star
Is it
review.
spelled that way?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
wanted
Okay.
to make sure. I thought you had a stroke.
And then the title is Nealon Moore, Chickasha, Oklahoma, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. But we're just going to go with Sierra.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right.
I started listening to these guys about 3 weeks ago while at work, and of that time, I've spent most of it laughing at the jokingly attached backstories and nicknames given for the wide variety of creatures discussed in this podcast. I'm definitely glad to have been listening to this podcast. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We are glad that you are listening.
Kudos, Sierra.
Here we go. Best there is 5-star review from Cryptid. Cryptid in plain sight. I'm reading this off my phone, so I can't read. Was referred to the show by a friend. I've listened to a lot of shows, but this is the first I've subscribed to and reviewed. That is how good it is. It is a unique blend of humor and seriousness. They are passionate about what they research, and it shows. These men really know their way around rabbit holes.
True.
How can they be taken?
I think that's a compliment.
Okay, good. I'm
That's
just
a
making sure.
dead up stone
All right.
compliment.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, very much appreciated. And we're going to round it off with our last one here from Jalen Boots. Skeptics Beware, 5-star review. I discovered this podcast on Spotify when it was recommended because of my interest in similar podcasts like Monsters Among Us. Oh, what's up, Derek and Addie? And The Haunted Places. It has quickly become one of my top 3 favorite podcasts overall and number 1 in the topic of cryptos and extraterrestrials. I enjoy how funny the guys are and the humor they bring out, but they also maintain a seriousness on the topics covered. They cover all the bases of what it may or may not be, but are skeptical when it's needed. Skeptics should beware, as you may come across the many stories covered in this podcast and come around to seeing a different point of view.
Oh.
Great job, guys, and keep up the amazing work.
Worsk.
Worcestershire.
There's a PS here, a very important PS.
Oh.
PS Chris, where do you want the cookies sent?
Oh. Mark, hey, you have the address.
I have the address. I don't have it on me, actually.
Well prepared.
But hit me up on the social medias, and I will give you the address where you can send cookies, because Chris and Rob enjoy cookies. I enjoy beer.
Yes.
I enjoy beer, too.
We all enjoy beer.
So-
I won't ask them to do that.
But I'm a fat bastard and absolutely love some cookies.
So be sure to get a hold of us on the socials, Facebooks, Instagrams, Twitters. Thank you to everyone that's been sending us all the super cool art. We got, just a half an hour ago, breaking news, really cool art from Smuggler Galore, Mr. Carson Snar.
Yes, Pat
Carson
Smuggler.
Snare. Yeah, dude, he did a super cool drawing of the Sky Spitter.
Which is one of the
Yeah.
best.
One of the most obscure
I
ones that we've
loved,
done.
I love
Yeah.
the tendril-like tail.
It was
that
good.
was such a
Yeah.
nice touch. We all got a huge kick
Oh,
out
oh,
of
yeah.
that.
The face nails it.
Just the guy there, and you see it just spitting on.
Yeah. He's just the cloud dude is
great.
just a douche.
Yeah,
The
it's
guy
just
was
right
like,
there.
Why?
It's so
Yeah.
good. So good. So thank you, Carson.
I
Thank you
also
very
love
much.
the idea, as per the last review, that we are the deprogrammers of skeptics. I never thought about that. Like when you put a cultist into a room with the pros and, I don't know, the rubber hoses
Well,
and the,
I mean-
I don't know.
We're going to rubber hose people into
I
believing?
don't think that's how you do it. I actually don't know how you deprogram a cultist. I just said the first worst thing that came to mind.
Oh, okay. All right,
But either
good,
way,
good.
it would be nice if we made an occasional skeptic say, maybe this world is a little more mysterious than I thought yesterday.
Okay, well, maybe we can
Possible. Well, I mean, we could really have that discussion. I mean, I'm a skeptic. There's 100%.
do that. I'm a skeptic, too.
But this isn't what we're doing. It's about what this is. This
That's
is
so
this
true.
is about bringing the stories and what these things could be.
Yeah. And sometimes it's something, and sometimes
Because we could easily
it's
be like,
absolutely
well,
nothing.
there's no evidence except for, some dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
How, that's not.
Falkville Metal Man.
Hey, we got to
had
take
pictures.
the evidence as it comes in
Yeah, that's the deal.
Process
through
it.
it.
There you go.
and totally believe that some weird shit's happening, period, amen. Did I go that far?
You did.
Did I do that?
Congratulations.
That's my way.
Thank you all for all the nice comments and emails, and again, the art. Thank you very much to Carson for sending that. It's awesome. We're going to post that up on our Twitters and Instagrams as well. And this week we got something fun. Not necessarily going to be talking about creature or phantom or
Not necessarily.
alien.
Or not necessarily not talking about
We don't
all
know what
three.
we're going to be
A
talking
wraith.
about here, but this is going to be this is our first paranormal situation.
No, Annabelle was. This is
Oh,
our
Annabelle
first
Oh, Mark.
It was.
grand
Sorry,
mystery.
Annabelle.
Epic,
Yeah.
true to life mystery.
Okay, so this is our first true mystery.
Oh, Unsolved Mysteries.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
This week.
Can you do a horrible version of that? Just the sound of Robert Stack's voice still makes my balls crawl.
That
No,
music
same
and then
here.
his
It's
voice. I'm like,
horrible.
I just got to go under the
Yeah.
couch and not come out.
Oh yeah, it's a nightmare.
Until Dance Fever comes on.
This week we were talking about Village of the Dead, the Anjikuni Mystery.
Dun, dun, dun.
Legends of mysterious mass disappearances have cropped up across the globe, but without a doubt, one of the most infamous incidents of mass disappearance in North American history concerns the whereabouts of the over 30 men, women, and children who allegedly vanished without a trace from an Inuit fishing village in the first half of the 20th century.
Way back when, way back yonder on the Chattahoochee. Not really. In Anjikuni. Someone write that song.
I will.
Way back
I'm on
yonder.
it. Get-
Yeah, Chris could do it.
yeah.
Let me lay
I
the
was
groundwork
stuck in
here.
I was stuck in my dramatic pause and I didn't know where to go with it.
Yeah,
I was
no,
literally
but it's
stuck.
all
I'm
right.
like,
Hey, that's sometimes a dramatic pause is its own reward.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking Anjikuni. Bobby, fill us in. What is
The
up with
trout
Anjikuni?
the trout and pike-filled estuary known as Anjikuni Lake, located along the Kazan River in the remote Kivalliq region of Nunavut, Canada. And bear in mind, I speak Inuit like I speak fucking Swahili. Not at all, and I make an ass of myself. So if I've brutally mispronounced every word, you can find the written article, Google it yourself, and find somebody that can say it right.
So
I'm not the guy.
In Canada, where this happened in Alaska.
Yes.
But so this is located in that upper eastern super north region then?
Well, it would be before Alaska was a state.
Okay, well, right.
So Canada at this point.
Right, but it's in that far north region.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Icy cold, full of malignant spirits.
Because technically everything with us in comparison to Canada, everything is super north where we are, but...
That's true. The out-of-the-way area is rich with legends of malicious wood spirits and beasts like the Wendigo, which of course we're going to have to get to sometime.
You mean the Wendigo?
The Wendigo?
Oh, jeez.
I used to pronounce it like that sometimes. Did you hear about the Wendigo? It's a flingo.
That's nice.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you feel about Sepultura? Or I'm sorry,
yes.
Sepultura.
Yeah, well,
Sepultura.
there's different issues played here. All right. But as fascinating as these oft-told tales are, there is none more intriguing than the terrifying and controversial mystery surrounding the collective vanishing of the villagers who once lived on the coast of Anjikuni's frigid waters. The mystery begins on an Arctic evening back in November of 1930.
What a great year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, solid
awesome
year.
year. Good
Oh,
year.
just,
declining bloodlines.
Yeah.
Things are looking.
People were
things are looking
employed
up
per town.
Yeah.
World War II is about to pull us from the doldrums of the Depression.
Economy's going to turn around. The stock market's getting back in order.
I don't know anything that happened in 1930.
No, me neither. I have no
At
clue.
all.
It was literally 50 years before I was born. Literally.
And that's not really that long.
No, it's not at all.
Not
But
at all.
it still seemed it might as well have been a million years ago.
You're almost 50.
They were chasing dinosaurs. I am.
Yeah.
I am a
Your
seasoned
entire
elder
lifetime.
statesman.
Think about it. Life is short.
Oh, no.
So I was practically
Drink
at
Bud Dry.
Anjikuni. Oh my God, I don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
I am old, but I still was not at Anjikuni. If I were, I'd be missing.
Or maybe we
maybe
were missing,
I
and now
was-
we're here now.
maybe we were all villagers
What
in
if
Anjikuni.
you're the lone survivor?
Why do you think we're talking
No,
about this
what
now?
if the three of us were brought back? We were some of the children of the Anjikuni. We were put with foster parents by our alien overlords or whatever it was that did it. And now we've been raised to discover this mystery anew.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
do the cycle all over again.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a weird world.
Can I get back to 1930?
Please do.
November 1930. A Canadian fur trapper by the name of Joe LaBelle was seeking respite from the bitter cold and a warm place to bunk down for the night when he tromped into an Inuit village that was nestled on the rocky shores of Canada's Lake Anjikuni.
Nestled.
That's where all geography should be.
Nestled.
Yeah.
Nestled. LaBelle had visited the area before and knew it to be a bustling fishing community full of tents, rough-hewn huts, and friendly locals. But when he shouted a greeting, the only sound that returned to him was that of his own echo and that of his snowshoes crunching through the frost. LaBelle tensed. He had the instincts of a seasoned outdoorsman, and he could sense that something was seriously amiss.
Oh, it's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. LaBelle could see the ramshackle structures that were silhouetted under the full moon, but he saw no people, no barking sled dogs, nor any other signs of life. Even within the huts, the expected sounds of laughter and conversation were replaced by an eerie silence. LaBelle also noticed with a chill that not a single chimney had smoke coming out of it. That was when he spied a fire crackling in the distance. All right, little hope. Like, all right, I'm creeped out, but I'm walking alone at night in the wilds of, the northernmost region of North America. Oh, there's a fire. Thank God.
Yeah.
It's got to be like that feeling of, yes. Trying his best to remain calm, the trapper picked up his pace and headed toward the glowing embers of the dying fire, eager to find some trace of humanity. When he arrived at the flames, he was greeted not by a friendly face, but a charred stew that had bafflingly been left to blacken above the cinders. The veteran tracker, having spent so much of his life prowling around shadowy and inaccessible forests, was likely not easily spooked. But it's difficult to imagine that he was not bathed in a cold sweat as he walked past the derelict, wave-battered kayaks into the heart of the ghost village, wondering what had happened to its inhabitants. LaBelle methodically pulled back the caribou skin flaps and checked all of the shacks, hoping to find telltale signs of a mass exodus. But, much to his chagrin, he discovered that all of the huts were stocked with the kinds of foodstuff and weapons that would never have been abandoned by their owners. In one shelter, he found a pot of stewed caribou that had grown moldy and a child's half-mended sealskin coat that lay discarded on a bunk with a bone needle still embedded in it as if someone had deserted their effort mid-stitch.
They didn't even take the caribou stew?
All right, so food left to rot,
Yeah,
clothes
weird.
that you
Yeah.
need to keep your kid, your most beloved possession in this life, from freezing to death, partially mended and laying behind.
All right, so
It's
clearly everything was dropped and people jetted.
It's sort of like the Mary Celeste, except it's a fucking village.
Okay.
Where they find like hot coffee mugs and half-eaten food and clothes, and you're like, who the fuck? How did they get off this boat? The boat's sailing. It's full of their shit. Why are they gone? Well, this is fine, but it's a fucking village.
All right.
So it's all the worse in my estimation. Okay. He even inspected the fish storehouse and noticed that its supplies had not been depleted. Nowhere were there any signs of struggle or pandemonium, and LaBelle knew all too well that deserting a perfectly habitable community without rifles, food, or parkas would be utterly unthinkable, not to mention outright suicidal, no matter what the circumstances might have been to force a tribe to spontaneously migrate. LaBelle then scanned the borders of the village in the hopes of ascertaining what direction the Inuits had traveled in. Even though the villagers' exit seemed to have been relatively recent and hasty enough to leave food on the flames, he could find no tracks nor any trace of their flight, no matter how hard he searched. Cold, hungry, and fatigued as he was, LaBelle was simply too terrified to linger in this inexplicably vacant village. Although it meant he had to forego the comforts of food, warmth, and shelter, the trapper listened to his gut instincts, which were screaming for him to leave, and embarked through the sub-zero temperatures to a telegraph office located many miles away. When asked later, LaBelle apparently claimed that he left the security of the village and made the dangerous trek out of fear that the same nefarious and, in his estimation, unmistakably supernatural force that claimed the villagers might also descend upon him. All right, so that's the first part of what's going on.
Okay, so this guy is out there in the great wilds of the cold
Joe
north.
LaBelle.
And he
Patty
comes
LaBelle.
across
Patty
this
LaBelle.
village. Clearly, there's no sign of anybody leaving. It's just everything's dropped.
No tracks.
That's it. Okay.
Kayaks.
That's weird.
Apparently, yeah.
Kayaks all on the shoreline.
Okay. Yeah.
Food still there. Flames, still kicking in one place. Other places,
Right.
the food had time to get moldy.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to bring up. That's a little weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah. That
Like,
kinda
why
weird.
is there still fire burning? I mean, mold still. I mean, even in cold should take longer.
I would think.
I would think
Anyway,
too.
so maybe I don't know. Like,
Maybe somebody stole back to the village to make a quick
It
meal.
would take days later for something to mold up.
And how are the embers still going though?
That's a good question.
Well, I guess we have no idea.
But,
when
I mean,
they
like,
decided to
so when was-
to exit?
When was that guy here last? Like, what was the time frame? Is that explained? Like, he was here at so and so, and now he's here
it
now.
was a while before. I
Like,
don't
it
know.
doesn't- It never. Okay,
Yeah.
so we haven't gotten there yet. But I mean, because that makes a difference probably.
Let me.
Like a week, few
All it
weeks.
says is that LaBelle had visited the area before and knew it to be a bustling fishing community.
Okay.
Right.
So it doesn't specifically
But
say
he
if it
didn't,
had
he
been
didn't
weeks
come
or
across
months.
anything super nefarious when he was there. There was no bodies. There was no blood. There was nothing.
It was just
just abandoned.
and made
seemingly.
all the more disturbing by the fact that it wasn't abandoned. Like, okay, your kayaks are gone, your rifles are
Right,
gone, your
right.
food
Just-
stores are
They
gone.
just disappeared.
It's just you're fucking gone. The people are gone,
All right.
and all your stuff is left behind. And when even if you're a partially nomadic tribe, as a lot of the Inuits at this period were known to be,
You'd still pack your
you would
shit.
still pack the shit you need not
Yeah,
to die.
totally.
It's the fucking Arctic.
Yeah. I feel you.
So it's fucking crazy.
I feel you, Bobby. I feel you.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy. Within minutes of the exhausted and frostbit LaBelle staggering into the telegraph office, an emergency message was fired off to the nearest Royal Canadian Mounted Police barracks.
See, RCMP's making their second appearance on our
No.
podcast.
They are the heroes of the paranormal world.
They are the art. That's why I imagine them riding in.
They're like the BPRD, but in real life.
yeah.
If you're a Hellboy fan, then you know what I'm talking about.
Dude,
All right.
Maple breakfast out.
I know. Flapjacks and fighting fucking Wendigos. The Mounties' life for me.
Actually,
No,
that
Wolverine.
Kind of cool. Yeah, I eat flapjacks and I fight Wendigos. My 9 to 5's awesome.
Dude, you're the task force. Want to go task force? WTF?
I don't know why it's so funny. I like it. I don't care.
Wendigo Task Force.
That's for me. That's one
Oh,
for Mark.
fucking Alpha Flight for life.
Oh, I know.
Oh, Puck. Is Puck a part of the RCMP?
And Sasquatch.
But
And
are they all a part of the
Vindicator.
RCMP?
Oh,
though?
yeah.
No, I don't
North
think.
Star.
I absolutely don't think any of them are part of the RCMP.
They never were.
But they are a Canadian
An
government
offshoot.
organization
Right.
in the fictional Marvel universe of superheroes. Yes.
One more clandestine than the obvious Mounties. That
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
But they're like the
But I'm sure that they work hand in hand with the RCMP.
Why wouldn't they? Of
I'm
course
just
they
saying,
would.
Yeah.
except for Wolverine. He's too much of a
Law and
dick.
Order. All right.
he sits on a ledge and
God
broods.
damn it.
Look for Wendigos
Smokes cigars.
to smite.
Bub.
By the time the Mounties arrived, several hours later, the trapper had calmed himself enough to relate his disturbing tale. According to 1984's The World's Greatest UFO Mysteries by Roger Bohr and Nigel Blundell, great
Nice.
name.
Man, Nigel sounds like he's a rager at parties.
Yeah.
Fucking Nigel's here, dude.
You know he rocks.
It's just how EDM lead
Mysteries.
comes in. Keg stands. Molly.
Molly.
E.
You're just announcing drugs now.
Yeah,
That's not,
yeah, that's what he does. He
Well, when
shows up-
Nigel hits the party, you
yeah,
know it's
he shows
on.
up with his EDM and the Molly and the E, and then
Oh,
everyone's all fucking
He's
hugging
got a
and shit.
trench coat. He opens up. It's just full
Yeah.
of fucking
Everyone's
Glow
serotonin
sticks
levels.
and
party
paraphernalia.
time.
Yeah, dude, everyone's serotonin levels just plummet.
Nigel
But
Blundell.
Nigel's there to fucking bring it back. Or
Okay.
he's a legitimate UFO guy.
According to
One of the two.
Bohr and Blundell, my new favorite two last
Wow.
names. On their way back, on the Mounties' way, on their way back to the village at Anjikuni Lake, the Mounties stopped for a bit of rest at a shanty that was shared by trapper Armand Laurent and his two sons. The officers explained to their hosts that they were headed to Anjikuni to deal with a quote-unquote kind of problem. That's nice and vague. The Mounties inquired as to whether or not the Lorentz had seen anything unusual during the past few days, and the trapper was forced to concede that he and his sons had spied a bizarre gleaming object soaring across the sky just a few days
Now
before.
we have the introduction of the possible UFO.
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 Well,
It's a possible.
Possible.
something in the sky you don't know what it is a UFO.
Yeah, the Lawrence
Yeah,
did not
but I
recognize
mean,
it, ergo.
You know, I just saw like what I thought were two UFOs the other day, and they were satellites. So there you go.
You don't know that.
You don't know that.
I don't, but I'm only thinking they're satellites.
Who told you they're satellites? Were you hanging out with an astronomer?
They appeared very high and appeared to be in a certain trajectory. If that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like
Sure.
aliens might
Yeah,
assume.
That's good deduction.
Yeah.
However,
Seems kind of like it was a satellite.
Whatever.
but
We'll,
it's
we'll
just me.
debate this after the
you
pod.
didn't
Okay,
go to
good.
space and confirm it, so
Hey guys, I'm gonna be late. I'm going to space.
I'm gonna go to space to see what I saw.
guys, I just saw something. I got to confirm it.
I'm pretty sure it was a satellite, but you guys aren't gonna believe me.
Take the space elevator.
Oh, I
I would
only
never
wish.
take a space elevator.
Oh, no, me
No,
neither.
it's going to
Fuck
collapse
that.
at like the 4 billionth floor. That's when all the trouble
Just
begins.
my ball. Just thinking about it makes my balls go away.
Yeah, it's too high for me.
I don't even like to go to the fucking Sky Needle.
I don't even think. I don't want to think about the sky needle.
Yeah, no, me neither.
So how can we do a space elevator? It's a fool's errand. Plus the world
I got
moves.
I got
you
sick at the
can't have
Hoover
people
Dam.
love it.
geostationary shit. It's going to tear apart all the time.
I literally got sick at the Hoover Dam.
Who wouldn't? It's full of water
other,
and hate.
Other people, I guess. I
Dude, I
got sick.
puke on step ladders. I'm like 3 steps up. I'm like,
Oh god!
it's so fucking high.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Dude, because if I fall off 2 steps now, I'm done. Like,
That's
I'm not
true,
young
yeah.
anymore. Like,
That's true.
I'm gonna
That's true.
break my hip.
None of us are spring chickens.
I don't have life alert.
We're brittle old men.
That's right.
Back to the UFO.
Back to
All right,
Earth.
the UFO.
Laurent claimed that the enormous illuminated flying thing seemed to change shape before his and his son's very eyes, transforming from a cylinder into a bullet-like object. He further divulged that this unusual object was flying in the direction of the village at Anjikuni.
Okay, so we get a little bit more information on the UFO.
I know
So a
it.
large
Interesting.
transforming
Yeah.
cylinder to bullet.
Okay.
Oh.
The
I know
Mounties
what
left the Laurent home soon after and continued on their treacherous journey. Once they arrived at the village, the Mounties were not only able to confirm LaBelle's testimony regarding the state of the now desolate village, but, according to some sources, they made additional, even more arcane discoveries on the outskirts of the community.
Discoveries of the Arcane?
On the outskirts of the community.
Doctor.
Where all arcane things happen.
Is it Dr. Arcane?
Yeah, it's never in the community.
No. You never have arcane shit in the heart of a community.
No,
It's
dude.
always on the fringes, the
Dude,
dark
when I
and
was
dangerous
playing
fringes.
Skyrim and I had to defeat the vampires and I got turned into a vampire, I had to meet the dude
Was that
outside
in the town square?
village.
Was it in
no,
the town
it
square?
Was it was when the,
No, it
on
was
the
not.
goddamn map. I couldn't fast travel there. I was pissed.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
All right, good.
Various accounts verify that the officers conducting the search were alarmed when they stumbled across a plethora of open graves in the village burial ground.
Whoa.
In fact, if some of the more outrageous statements are to be believed, every single tomb had been opened and, even more puzzlingly, emptied.
So they literally brought out the dead?
They brought out the dead.
Oh, okay.
There are also less dramatic, though no less baffling reports that state it was just a single tomb that was violated.
Oh, is this
Either way,
conflict
and it's important, let's get all the facts here straight.
All right.
Either
all
way,
right.
it is a severe taboo for an Inuit grave to be desecrated, and it seems dubious that the villagers themselves would have been responsible for such a blatant violation of their ethics code. The question remains, why were these bodies or body moved, and who is accountable?
Or it could be a grave robber.
Okay.
I'm just saying, could be a grave
No,
robber.
yeah, nobody
True.
knows the time frame. So
Right.
if
Yeah.
it was one, it could vary. Somebody just passed by. It's like, I'm going to take some shit.
Cannibal
Yeah.
Corpse time? When you get hungry enough, some frozen meat, jerky, folks.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
wow.
I didn't
Oh,
think about that.
I didn't want to
Well,
go
I mean,
there.
this is some fucking Donner
Why?
Party squared shit.
No, I
We're
know,
talking
I
about
know.
the Arctic here.
Could have been a blizzard, and they're
I mean,
like,
there's
blizzard.
there's an entire
blizzard.
like freezer full of fish and shit, isn't there?
Yeah, you think they go there first?
Yeah.
I'd even eat the moldy goddamn caribou stew
Yeah,
before
why
I
would you
go.
be like, why-
before
like,
I
well-
fucking dig up Fred and say sorry, dude.
I'm gonna eat your face now, brother.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, who knows? Like, there's a lot.
okay. Plus animals too. Gotta take animals into consideration here.
We're gonna get to that.
Because, what are they? Polar bears, right? Those are the ones, the white ones that are up there.
Did you
Polar bears.
really need to
Oh.
ask
Yeah,
that?
no, I did because I.
Oh,
really
God damn it,
got-
Mark.
What are they
second.
called? Bears?
Really?
What are those white ones?
You know,
The
the
polar
ones-
bears?
Those bears that dwell in the polar
Goddamn-
regions of Earth.
Yeah, well,
What's
anyway,
their name?
They're fucking ferocious
Yeah, of
assholes.
course, they're
and
vicious.
They love to eat people.
And killer whales and seals.
That's why I
and
forgot their
each
name because
other,
they're fucking horrible.
And glaciers. In fact, most of the glacier destruction, polar bear consumption.
Other glaciers?
Yeah, other glaciers and polar bear
Hey, polar-
attacks.
polar bears
No,
eating-
they don't. I'm just talking shit.
Oh, why would a polar bear eat a glacier?
It's
That
goddamn
makes
the
no
human
sense.
race.
There's a glacier
is
war
us.
against polar bears.
Oh,
They
okay.
fight each other
We
constantly.
did it.
Okay, cool.
But
Continue.
the polar bears
on.
are still very
It's the Great War of the
ruthless.
North that no one talks about.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Christopher, your train's on time, buddy.
No, I know.
Okay, just checking.
Fucking
Just make
ghost train.
It's
To
not.
add...
It's literally
it's-
right there. It's
Oh,
not a
God
ghost.
damn it. I mean, it is.
It's- we can look out the
I can
window
see
and
through
we
it.
can
I
see
can
it.
kind of see through it, though. So explain that. Are you going to say it's the separation between the cars? Because I don't think that's the case. I think it's a ghost train.
Polar bears.
No, that's the spirit of America. Continue.
All right. To add an extra pinch of weird to the proceedings, witnesses claimed that the earth around the grave was frozen as hard as a rock. These reports also suggest that the marker stones had been stacked in two neat piles on either side of the graves, confirming that this was not the work of animals, as some have speculated.
Okay, I brought that up, but I
shut it
forgot
down.
what a polar bear was.
It
but
happens. Everyone forgets what a fucking fundamental animal is from time to time.
I don't know if they're fundamental. Aren't they dying? Right.
Doesn't I mean everybody knows
No,
a fucking
aren't
polar
they,
bear?
aren't they going like extinct or some shit because of global warming?
Yeah,
There's a picture of
their
one all
habitat
like
is fucked.
skinny. Need a sandwich. Couldn't get one.
They
There's
need-
no food.
They need to go to zoos.
Right. Well, they hang out on ice and glaciers, and those are melting. So they're just like, oh, well, guess we're doomed.
Floaties? Will that work?
You just want to drop floaties in?
It works for my kids.
Floater bears. Needless to say, the Mounties at the scene were perturbed by these discoveries, and a substantial search party was organized post-haste. During the search, no additional clues as to the villagers' whereabouts were turned up, but another grisly discovery was purportedly made. According to reports, no less than 7, though some say just 2 or 3, sled dog carcasses were discovered about 300 feet away from the edge of the village. According to Canadian pathologists, these unfortunate canines all apparently died of starvation, whereupon they were covered by snowdrifts which had buried them nearly 12 feet deep.
Ugh.
How these animals managed to starve when they were surrounded by huts full of food is yet another unexplained piece of this enigmatic puzzle. They would have eaten the fish. They could have eaten the fucking rotten caribou shit. They could
Yeah.
have eaten any number of things.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. How do they really know they starved to death?
That's just what the Canadian pathologist said.
pathologists. I'm sure they probably inspected them and checked them out.
I mean, you can tell when something's starved to death.
Yeah.
It's going to look emaciated and
Yeah.
fucked up,
Exactly.
I imagine.
Plus, I mean, if it's a sled dog, a dog could. I'm sure a dog could root around that village and find something to eat.
But especially if they were, if food
There's
stores
literally
were so wide
there's literally
open.
a burning pot of caribou stew when the dude showed up. They'd been there for how long? So food's plentiful.
True. Or
It's just
maybe they
not-
could have got lost and they were starving for weeks before, and then they just died on their
Could've
way
been.
back.
Could've been.
I mean, a 12-foot snowdrift.
It's a big ass snowdrift.
There is, this is gonna help your skeptic side.
Okay.
A single account which claims that the ill-fated animals were tied to scrubby trees, which would explain their inability to scavenge for food.
All right.
But this does not resolve the issue of why they succumb so quickly. Logic seems to dictate that they certainly would not have had time to starve to death between the moment of this collective vanishing and the arrival of LaBelle, who reportedly found food still burning over dying embers. I mean, it takes a while to starve to death.
Yeah.
And when you're a husky or you're one of these hardy dogs that's
Malamutes
living
or
off
whatever, yeah.
your fat stores and you're used to the cold.
Well, that's the third conflict, as the moldy thing is one with the
Right.
fire.
Right.
And so was the dog with
Yeah.
the fire, I guess.
Yeah.
Continue, Morph.
I shall. This begs the question: did the villagers allow their own dogs to go hungry intentionally before they slipped into the ether? These invaluable dogs, whose very existence was essential to the villagers' own survival. If so, then why? If not, then what happened? And if the dogs were not tethered, as most accounts indicate, then why would these animals choose to starve rather than return to a nearby village full of food? As if this tale weren't strange enough, the officers at the scene supposedly reported odd bluish lights pulsating on the horizon above the village. The men watched until the illumination disappeared, all of them concurring that this unusual light show did not resemble the aurora borealis in any way. After 2 weeks of investigation, the Mounties, based on some berries they found in one of the cooking pots, came to the somewhat dubious conclusion that the villagers had been gone for at least 2 months. You know, when you got the berry whisperer,
Yeah,
just you squeeze them. You squeeze them.
You smell
How firm
'em.
are they? Yeah, you tip your tongue.
hold them in your hand. I
just-
don't know about that.
I don't know,
piece of
berry aging-
information.
Well, I mean,
Seems
well,
hard.
wouldn't they look at the berry and determine like its rate of decay? And I mean, they can figure out when someone dies.
This is
by
1930.
the fly larva.
19
Oh.
fucking 30.
Yeah,
So
you
get
gotta
your
remember-
CSI shit right out of your head.
Yeah, their microscope is still like 7 monocles
Seven-
or whatever.
7 monocles. All right. Well, okay. So dubiously, they,
All right.
they concurred that they've been gone for 2 months, even though the fire was burning.
This presents
Fire was burning.
yet another question.
Okay.
If the Inuits really had abandoned their homes 8 weeks before, then who was responsible for making the fire that LaBelle saw when he first arrived at the village?
Who dug up Doth Grave?
Fact and folklore have a notorious habit of interbreeding when bizarre events such as the one that transpired at Lake Anjikuni occur. Nevertheless, the first official account of the missing village is alleged to have been printed on November 28, 1930, when special correspondent Emmett E. Kelleher published a report of the events in the Canadian newspaper Le Pas Manitoba.
Oh, Viva la Manitoba.
Indeed.
Manitoba paper.
As there were no available images of the Anjikuni settlement, this article, as was standard procedure at the time, was accompanied by a stock photo of a deserted Cree tent encampment taken in 1909. This has led some to discount the whole event.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Put some shitty newspaper in should not make you
People
dismiss everything.
do that shit all the time.
Because
Especially now.
they used a stock photo.
Yeah, they used a stock photo. So they're like, oh, this isn't even an
Yeah.
Inuit fishing village. This is an abandoned Cree.
But I mean, the paper should make it like at least announce it's a stock photo, perhaps.
1930, Mark.
I don't care. This is how shit. This is why people don't believe shit.
1930.
The origin of fake news.
They didn't have
Yeah,
goddamn.
exactly. This is
they
the
didn't
origin
have
of fake news.
Fucking stock images. They couldn't go to Getty. They couldn't just
Yeah, that's
fly
true.
somebody out to snap photos of the
Imgur.
missing village. Exactly.
Yeah, what do they do? They don't have like photo bucket or anything.
No.
How do they get their stock?
That's
photo?
what I mean. They got to do what they got to do.
Wait. Hold on a second. They
Photo
didn't-
bucket is literally a bucket full of black and white photos. You just reach in and go, yeah, print this, Henry. Go.
Yeah.
That's your fucking photo bucket.
They didn't have the internet. How they make a newspaper?
How? How indeed?
How did they get their tweets out?
They didn't.
What do they do?
Oh
Who
my
buys
God.
I
the
don't know.
paper?
How did we live 20 years ago?
I know exactly.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, Jesus, more than that.
I
now.
wrote
Oh,
for a
my God,
paper
it's horrible.
before the internet
30 years
caught on
ago?
officially.
I helped launch one of the first websites for said paper.
We are both newsmen.
We're
We're old school newsies,
we are
dude.
publishing pioneers.
We have ink in our blood.
Why didn't we make millions?
Because we were fucking working in a dying print medium.
It's
Why the
true.
fuck do you think we didn't?
That's true.
That's why we chase monsters. That's the deal. We made poor life choices.
We did. We really did.
But I'm still damn glad to be here.
If you want to send us cookies or beer, get a hold of us.
By all means.
We'll happily take your cookies and your beer.
Oh my God.
We'll talk about low chance creatures.
High integrity,
low chance.
Oh, all right. While most say that Le Pas, Manitoba was the first to the punch, there are others who insist that the initial report was actually published a day earlier by the old Danville Bee. Yeah.
Did they jack their story?
Oh, you know.
Like how people jack your shit on the
All the
internet all the time? Did they jack
I
the
feel
story?
like I'm the Danville Bee of the internet. I was there first. Where's my fucking credit?
Mark, send a cease and desist letter immediately.
I know,
There's
Mark.
no
Why aren't you
email.
my lawyer?
It's 1930. There's no email.
And you know, as I've said before, anyone's welcome to use the shit. Just link back. There's no charge. Just use it. Use my art. Use my words. I don't care.
We do have some listeners
Yeah.
that have like their own crypto things going on, and they do reference your work.
Well, God bless you.
They've
That's
asked.
all I ever wanted.
People have
and
always
you're so
asked.
sweet. If
People
you
have
asked,
asked.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. But even if you don't ask, if you link back and credit, I'm gold with that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the whole point is sharing the information.
Yeah, no,
you know,
we're
we're
all here
making
looking.
light of it, but honestly, we love this stuff, and it's just about disseminating it and having fun.
But everyone that's contacted us has been super cool.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
Back to the Danville Bee. Regardless of who got the scoop first, it's the opinion of most researchers that the account that caught the public's interest most was printed in the November 29th, 1930 edition of the Halifax Herald, below the undeniably sensationalistic headline, Tribe Lost in Barrens of the North, Village of the Dead Found by Wandering Trapper, Joe LaBelle.
That's awfully dramatic.
That is kind of long-winded, but
A little bit.
it really delivers the
That was
goods.
a headline?
Village of the Dead, bitches. Lost in the Barrens of the North. That's a heavy thought.
That's a fucking immortal record right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
I can't even do it, but
LaBelle did not mince words when he described his harrowing discovery to reporters, saying, and I quote, "I felt immediately that something was wrong. In view of the half-cooked dishes, I knew they had been disturbed during the preparation of dinner. In every cabin, I found a rifle leaning beside the door, and no Eskimo goes nowhere without his gun. I understood that something terrible had happened." Of course, it wasn't long before the Newspaper Enterprise Association wire service was feeding this astonishing story to its papers, and readers all across North America were given a first-hand account of what would arguably be the greatest unsolved mystery ever investigated by the RCMP. After a brief media blitz, the bizarre event was filed away under a heap of unsolved cases until 1959, and this is how I know about this case, when journalist and author Frank Edwards dug up the tale and included it in his tome, Stranger Than Science. I'm going to do a little digression here. Frank Edwards was fucking awesome. He was he was a famous reporter, radio personality. He really glommed onto the UFO subject long before it was like truly mainstream, and dedicated a lot of the time on his radio shows to it, to the point where he started actually aggravating, you know, the owners of the station. But he wrote a lot of books like Stranger Than Science and Strange People. The Strange series is what they're known as, but they're great books.
Nice.
Full of phenomenal stories, and that's where I came across this.
Awesome.
While Edwards did not shy away from the unusual, he was not prone to over-sensationalism, and there are no accounts of this reporter ever outright fabricating a tale. Yet this is just what the RCMP accused him of on a webpage that they've dedicated to this mysterious case. Yeah, we're going to get into the bowels.
Wait, the RCMP is designing websites?
Because they're a goddamn bureaucratic system that no
Well, hold
longer
on.
cares
Wait,
about
wait,
the truth.
wait,
They just
wait,
care. I'm
wait.
sorry, I'm angry. I love you, RCMP.
This is on.
Are they
political
hiring?
now?
I'm just no.
I do like that lucrative element.
As an out-of-work web designer, semi-retired graphic artist, are they hiring?
They might be. And if you want to perpetrate their lies, perpetuate the half myths,
If
Yeah.
it gets me, okay, if I get to become a Canadian citizen,
probably.
Oh, can we get married and can I be one?
yeah, me and Chris and Robert all getting married.
Can we get three-way married in Canada?
They don't-
Totally,
do they
it's
allow
Canada.
that?
They don't
No,
give a
it's
fuck.
Canada.
Yeah.
They have
cool.
to. They're awesome
cool as
about
shit.
everything. They've never not been awesome about a single thing.
Yeah,
Canada fucking rules.
they're pretty solid. Well,
All right.
they do have a weird pit bull band in Ontario that I'm not too cool about.
You don't have one right now. Don't worry
Well,
about
I
that
want
right
to
now.
get one.
Don't worry about that right now.
We won't live it. We'll settle down in non-Ontario.
Okay,
First
good.
of all, find out about triple marriage.
We have a lot of
They
research
do
we
have
need to
legal
do.
weed there now. We could all work in a weed dispensary
Dude,
together.
I know. Last time
and
I was up
podcast
there,
in the back room.
They've
dude
always
was
had
walking down the
over-the-counter
street with the
codeine.
biggest blunt I ever did see.
Oh, the ever loving bullet.
It's been like I think it's been
Dude,
decriminalized for a
he
while.
walked
but
out of a shop and it was like literally like a banana-sized blunt.
I
Oh,
may-
God bless them.
Holy
I
shit!
may have been
Just walking down the
partaking
streets
in
of
the double
Toronto.
lettuce in Ontario a
Ooh.
couple times. You never, or I mean Toronto, not Ontario.
Just like out in the open though, like walking down the street, going, "Look,
I
drugs.
mean,
Check it out.
it was
Drugs.
It was-
Check it out.
it was at night in front of a club. I wasn't like drugs, like drugs. I'm drugs, you're drugs. Let's do drugs. Drugs.
I'm
I didn't
drugs,
do
you're
that.
drugs.
Yeah,
I wish
didn't
you
do
had.
that.
That would be
All
weird
right,
if you did."
Triple marriage where we're going to work at a dispensary, podcast in the back room. My wife and kids will eventually catch up with us.
Of course they
They'll
will.
figure this out.
We'll leave them
Listen.
instructions.
Yeah.
We'll leave a map.
Charles, Evelyn, Papa loves you.
Yeah, I know.
Nicole, find us.
Nicole, four-way marriages often work. This is going to be wonderful for our family.
You can have them on Thursdays.
All right, so I know I was a little heavy on the RCMP, but this is
Well, I
this
feel
is,
like
this is a wicked pissa,
they're
if you
trying
will.
to do a shenanigans.
Shenanigans
I-
against the late great Frank
I'm not
Edwards.
sure why though.
All right. According to the RCMP, Edwards manufactured the whole affair for his book, and that no such event ever occurred, as printed on the RCMP website. And I'm very glad I found this because it was not there for
Is
long.
the site still active?
I don't believe that this is still up, but I managed to catch it.
Is it on the dark web?
I don't think so. This is directly from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police website from that era. Not from that era, but like from about 10 years ago. The story about the disappearance in the 1930s of an Inuit fishing village near Lake Anjikuni is not true. An American author by the name of Frank Edwards is purported to have started this story in his book Stranger Than Science. It has become a popular piece of journalism, repeatedly published and referred to in books and magazines. There is no evidence, however, to support such a story. A village with such a large population would not have existed in such a remote area of the Northwest Territories, 62 degrees north and 100 degrees west, about 100 kilometers west of Eskimo Point. Very specific.
I don't understand kilometers.
Furthermore, the mounted police who patrolled the area recorded no untoward, love that word, events of any kind, and neither did local trappers or missionaries.
So we got the RCMP
Well, wait a minute.
putting the fucking hammer down on this.
That's
like,
what
this
they
shit didn't
did.
even happen.
Boom.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't the articles come out before the Edwards? Am I missing something?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because
the articles were the people that interviewed Joe LaBelle.
So he's just they're calling shenanigans on everything,
So
but they're
on
blaming
everything.
But they're just
saying that
blaming
Le-
Edwards.
Yes,
Even though there
because
are
oddly enough.
Because Edwards published it in his book, in the Stranger Than series. The articles were in the 30s, pre-internet, as we've determined.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, they're trying to say that Edwards basically made it up. But really, wouldn't it be LaBelle that made it up?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, what
like,
I've
this
got to
doesn't
give
make
you
sense.
guys both, one of the many reasons I love you two is that you're astute motherfuckers, and we're about to start getting into some of this.
Three-way marriage?
Because you're fucking that's one of the reasons the
All right,
three-way
good.
marriage will
Good.
work.
Just making sure. All right.
Because it's it's more than just physical attraction, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, it's
It's true.
smarts.
yeah.
yeah, it's
Goddamn
personality.
smarts. What? Oh my God! You
Thank
said
God.
that with an evil face. It's personality.
Personality
how we
counts in a
get along.
relationship.
Man friends.
Friends of a man. Nah, Chris gets it.
Man time.
Yeah, me and Chris had man time today. That sounds really weird.
Time
I
of a
know.
man.
Shopping for bagels.
We went
Wink.
shopping. Chris and I shopped
Dude,
together.
I
Yeah.
actually bought bagels.
I know. That's
all
why
right.
it's so
I
sexy.
didn't know. I'm like, really?
You bought pounds worth of carbohydrates.
Yeah, I eat a lot
bought-
of bread.
Chris loves bread. That's the first thing I said. I said
fine.
Chris loves bread. Why
All
are
right,
you surprised?
First of all, can the judgment.
He needs his carbs. He's a healing boy.
I bought hot dog rolls and hamburger rolls. I'm like, Chris, they're only 87 cents for the hot dog rolls and 87 cents for the hamburger rolls. And he was like, yeah, duh. Welcome to the fucking bread world.
I know.
That's cheap.
But yeah, buns and shit are cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
All right, here, all right.
Carboland.
Man time, time of a man.
All right.
Jesus.
We need to get
Carb
focused.
loading.
That we do not need to go down the carbon hole. All right. I'll be the first to admit that the case of the missing Anjikuni Inuits is a more than infectious tale, and there can be little doubt that the alleged missing persons count offered in many reports, including the world's greatest UFO mysteries by the aforementioned Boren Blundell,
Blundell.
which puts the figure at a ludicrously whopping 2,000, have been massively exaggerated. But it seems as if the RCMP's stance is a little dismissive, not to mention simply incorrect.
So, real quick, the book was saying that 2,000 people went missing?
One of the later books. The
Okay.
Boris
This is
Blundell
why
book.
we can't have nice things.
No, this is why you have to do more than you have to research more than one or
Right.
two sources.
But the first
You
year was
have
said
to
like it was
look-
so small, but like 30.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is plenty mystery for me.
In this book,
Now it's like
exaggerated
2,000.
to... Well, no, 30 is weird. But in this book put it to 2,000?
Yeah, but just because there's going to be,
They're just giving the RCMP ammunition that this is all fake.
but somebody's going to throw a monkey dick in the works everywhere you go, and
Oh,
and
monkey
everyone
dick.
else wants to be like,
Worst
oh fuck, it's not real. Well, it's real. goddammit. Dismiss the monkey
No.
dick.
No, I know, but 30 at least is a little
Maybe
bit
I
more.
meant to say monkey wrench.
It's at
maybe
least
I
more
meant to
explained.
say
No one
that.
ever says throw a monkey
I
dick
just
in
did.
a situation.
And my poetic license is valid through
Yeah.
2019. Thank you.
Oh, it's going to expire soon.
Yeah, I know. So I better hurry up because I say a lot of stupid shit.
All right, well, you get on that.
All right.
But no, that's a big discrepancy, though.
It
Like,
is a huge discrepancy. But still,
It's-
two
it
people
causes
hammering
a lot
out
of-
probably something they want to sell. I'm not dissing. I don't know Boren Blundell. I'm not going to throw
No,
them under
I
the bus.
know,
but
but-
maybe they're just trying to make a quick buck.
I know, but
re-encapsulating mysteries.
You're casting a shadow of doubt on
Of
the
course you
possible
are.
truth.
But let me explain
okay.
Okay.
what's going on.
Continue.
To begin with, as mentioned above, the first known accounts of this incident were not published after Edwards' 1959 book, but in the same year as the unexplained event was said to have occurred. Which is what you guys said.
Okay, cool.
This means that there is no way he could have concocted the legend. Also, there are
Well-
records of at least 2 separate investigations into the subject by members of the RCMP.
So there's paperwork from the RCMP that they did investigate this.
Yes.
But
Even though
yet
they
they're-
flat out put a denial on their web, which, by the way, has long since been taken down.
Okay.
Okay. The first, perhaps unofficial investigation following the Mounties who responded to LaBelle's initial report was launched on January 17, 1931, just months after the events in question. The man in charge of the case was an inquisitive RCMP officer named Sergeant J. Nelson.
Was his first name Sergeant?
Yes.
Really?
No. That's his title.
Dad.
Sergeant J. Nelson.
I said, well, sorry.
We're talking.
I thought it was. That's what I thought.
He was stationed with the La Paz
You didn't
detachment.
Think that.
I know you
You
did.
guys are older and being mean to me. Why?
If you want to be married to us, you better fucking learn your place in this situation,
know.
I
son.
thought his name was Sergeant. All right,
Nelson.
maybe
Let's
I
just call.
didn't.
Can we call him Nelson from
Maybe
now
I
on,
didn't. Maybe
please?
I didn't. Maybe I didn't.
Oh my God!
maybe he did. Maybe he
This
did.
is why we
Maybe
can't
he
have
didn't.
nice stories.
All right, so Sergeant J. Nelson.
Yes.
Oh, screw the triple marriage.
Hey.
It's not working.
Love will find a way. Don't worry.
I think we can work through it for the sake of Canada. I think we can work through it.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
You sang your way back into my heart.
Yeah, I Tesla'd you.
Nelson became intrigued by the unusual reports hailing from the region and decided to make what he qualified as diligent inquiries from different sources. But it is unclear as to whether or not his investigation was sanctioned by the RCMP. Nelson will go on to declare that he could find no foundations for this story. According to information gleaned by Chris Rutowski and Jeff Dittman for their book, The Canadian UFO Report, The Best Cases Revealed, Nelson's assumptions were based on a single conversation he had with the unnamed owner of the Windy Lakes Trading Post, who had told him that he had not heard about the deserted village from any of the trappers that came through his store. The gossipy store owner even went so far as to say that he had heard that LaBelle originally hailed from the south of the Northwestern Territory, one of them,
South of the North.
and that he had likely never been within 100 miles of Lake Anjikuni. This is according to Nelson, a quote.
So this guy's like a poser or something?
Well, this is what one shady-ass fucking old storekeep is. And this officer
he's
Nelson,
he's
who's
reputed
undertaking this great
he's
expedition.
a gossip, right? He's a gossip.
He
He's
goes
a gossiper.
It's like you go to the corner store and be like, "Did you hear about it? Nah. Did you hear about this other guy? Pff, poser.
Yeah.
Case closed."
He's from the south of the north.
Yeah, when you're from the south of the north,
What
They
the
don't
fuck is
know
south of the north?
things.
Isn't it just the south?
Of the north.
Well, when you're
I mean,
that
really.
north, everything is south.
the south of the north is north to us.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, to us.
the
but
south
I mean,
of their
if you're
north
at the, if
is
you're at
way
the north
north
and they're like, go south, you're fucking going south
for the rest of your life.
Of
Yeah.
the north.
until you come all the way back around.
Yeah.
But you can't.
This is what Nelson
is
had to
flat.
say. Oh, God damn it. Did you really just...
I
all
just
right,
did.
For another day. Joe LaBelle, the trapper, who is alleged to have related the story to Emmett E. Kelleher, the correspondent, is considered to be a newcomer to the country, and doubts are expressed as to whether or not he's ever been in the territories.
A newcomer to the country.
Who knows? One guy. He talked to one guy at a store.
Okay. All right.
Nelson further attempted to shore up the veracity. Go ahead. No, say what you want to say.
It seems like they're trying to poke holes in the story.
And it seems like Nelson maybe is more going out there to debunk than to investigate, to be honest. Nelson further attempted to shore up the veracity of his version of events by casting aspersions upon the journalistic integrity of Kelleher, stating that he had a habit of writing colorful stories on the North and very little credence can be given to his articles.
That being noted, ripping him apart.
Yeah, well, skeptics. That being noted, he did admit to not having interviewed the reporter, but claimed that he intended to do so as soon as the opportunity allowed.
Oh, he's just talking shit.
That is just plain old-fashioned
He's like a fucking
shit
internet
talk.
keyboard warrior. Just
He's a
talking
troll,
shit.
practically. So in the end,
Bunch of fucking rats.
Nelson summed it up this way. Despite the fact that Nelson seemed only to be reporting hearsay from a single source, he would terminate his inquiry by stating that the case for the vanished village rests upon the story of an inexperienced trapper told to an imaginative and not too conscientious newsman. It goes without saying that skeptics hail this as the final word regarding this event, but with all due respect to Officer Nelson, it seems as if he was a skeptic right out the gate who never had any intention of actually digging for the truth. None of this, of course, proves or disproves the case's veracity, but as we've often stated in the past, one need maintain a skeptical eye toward both those who support unconventional theories as well as those who strive to debunk them out of hand. Sadly, it would seem that any Tom, Dick, or Harry who claims hoax is given instant credibility in the media, while those who are courageous enough to look at the evidence in an unbiased light are dismissed as gullible or worse.
You could rewrite that part and you could say, sadly, it seems that any Chris, Mark, or Rob who claims a hoax, I'm just saying this.
You could.
You could put Chris, Mark, and Rob in there. We're all pretty, you could do it.
But we rarely claim hoax. We're open-minded.
No,
motherfuckers.
but we do
skeptical. Yes,
we keep hoax in the
Chris more so than me.
purview.
You more so than me. But we like to keep an open mind.
Just saying, we keep the hoax. The possibility of a hoax is always there. We live in a world full of hoaxes.
We do, and you always have to be aware of that. Absolutely, or even exaggerations, because exaggerations can tip something from being merely fascinating.
Much like we see with it was 30 people or it was 2,000.
Oh, that's
causes a huge issue.
Discrepancy.
All right, casting a shadow of doubt on the truth.
All right, so let's just throw this last bit of proof, and then we'll start discussing what we think. In November 1976 edition of Fate magazine, this mystery was dusted off in an article titled "Vanished Village Revisited" by Dwight Whalens. The article confirmed that there were records showing that the RCMP had investigated the case again in 1931. So in 1930 originally, and then again in 1931. Okay. These Mounties did admit to discovering the settlement, but they deemed it to be either a seasonal or permanent abandonment of the site, and, perhaps conveniently, declared the case closed. While it is known that many Inuit tribes were still semi-nomadic in the 1930s, they would never have deserted their homes, be they temporary or permanent, in the dead of winter without their prized rifles and essential provisions, like fucking coats and food, just for example.
Right, but, okay.
All right. When one considers all of the ramifications of this case, it is difficult not to blame law enforcement officials for wanting the whole Anjikuni debacle to disappear. The RCPM's wholly inaccurate disclaimer is an obvious attempt to distance their organization from an enigmatic cold case that does not necessarily reflect highly on the RCMP, and more significantly, is now well over 70 years old. So, if we just take for granted that the minimum, 30 people went missing that day, and that Joe LaBelle stumbled on it, we have to ask, what the fuck happened?
Okay.
All right, so let's start tossing some ideas around about
that.
Well, I think regardless of it's 30 or 2,000 at this point. I mean, we can start at 30, but 2,000 is weirder and worse. But regardless, if just what he found is true, I guess then the number doesn't matter because the stuff he found is weird enough. So.
Right, but I'm sure it's easier for 30 people to move together.
Well, yeah,
and
30 people to just take the fuck off.
Yeah,
totally. Regardless,
right.
The only thing that's weird about those, I mean, it's all fucking weird, but is the discrepancy of finding a fire and moldy shit and then starved dogs.
Right.
So the time frame seems to be an issue.
I'm curious, though, with LaBelle, when he came across this, he brought the RCMP back there to check it out.
Yeah, he was.
And they
duly
claimed
frightened.
that they did, and they found the berries, and they said that it was 2 months or whatever.
Yeah, I still don't know
I
about
just
that
wonder.
one, man.
I just wonder if really maybe it almost seems to me like it was that they said that they were like they migrated a lot, and clearly they did leave some things behind. But was that also embellished?
They could have easily been
Well,
embellished.
you know?
A couple fishing rods
us
and a
not being
gun or
there.
two
Exactly.
could have been like, oh, they left everything because that.
Or they
It's
could
easy,
have
they
could have
could've.
said, you know what, like we don't need this shit because we're gonna be making new shit because they make all their own stuff. But fuck it, leave it, and we're taking off.
Yeah, but you don't just make food out of thin air.
That's true.
You have
That's
coats that you have. You have weapons that you have.
Yeah.
I
You're
wonder,
you're not gonna whittle a
like,
rifle.
when they would
So you would
migrate
take
like
that
that, like
shit.
if another group of Inuits came across their village, would they just kind of take that over as their own
Maybe.
and just be like, okay, they left us stuff,
Or
so
maybe they
you
took
know.
minimal stuff and they're like, well, maybe we'll come back.
Right.
Just take what we need, and
Right.
we're going to come back
I mean,
here
the
at a
whole
certain
grave
point in
thing
time.
the whole grave thing's kind of weird, but
Okay, well, let's stick
not
to the
really.
the normal weird
Right,
stuff, and then we'll
right.
get to the weird
You know,
weird.
the-
Because that's
here-
weird.
Here's the other thing, though.
Yeah.
Joe LaBelle, dismissed by Nelson and Windy Rivers Trading fucking post guy or whatever the fuck his name was.
gossipy gossiper.
Fucking, they're like, oh, he was new to the territory, doesn't know it. Well, other accounts state the exact opposite, that, he was a seasoned trapper from the region. If he felt
Yeah.
like, okay, they left some of their things behind, but they left, I can build a warm fire, why would he walk additional miles, risking his life in a place where there's wolves and bears and frostbite, just to go to a
Wendigos.
telegraph station, just to wait there until the Canadian police arrive, just to go back to the village to make himself look like an asshole.
Right.
Like, to me, there's what gives this a touch of veracity. I'm not saying that it's not like a smoking gun and proves 100% that it happened, but what gives it a touch of veracity is how paranoid he was based on what he found in this village, or the lack thereof. Lack thereof is in people, and what he found in terms of food, weapons, everything else. And the fact that he was so quick to bring authorities back there.
Right.
We have to acknowledge that.
The RCMP
Yeah, well,
going
yeah,
out of their
yeah.
way to make a website saying that this isn't true, but then there
page.
then there are allegedly documents showing that they did investigate it is a little bit weird.
It's a little weird. It's almost like it's long gone. We're sick of fielding questions.
Right.
Fuck your X-Files bullshit. We've got real crimes to solve. I almost don't blame, honestly, I was riding them pretty hard a minute ago. I don't blame 21st century Royal Canadian Mounties for saying, I fucking don't want to answer this question.
Right.
My
Yeah, but I
grandfather
mean,
wasn't dealing with this.
You
I
could
can't
have
deal
really
with
just
this.
released whatever the report was.
True.
Yeah,
This is all we
totally.
have.
Yeah.
It's look at it. Stop bothering us.
Like,
but you know what I
if
mean?
show
That's all
up
they could have
to an
done.
abandoned village and you do your investigation, you're like, yeah, guess what? They're gone.
I mean, I'm sure the report
there's
wasn't
not
like
much
a
you can
billion
really
pages.
do. Yeah,
No,
there's
I'm
nothing
sure
you
it
can,
wasn't.
There's
So-
literally
Probably
nothing
like
you can
30,
do.
40 pages max.
There's
If
no,
that.
There's no
Yeah.
bodies.
Even
There's
that.
no foul play. They've left everything there.
That's
like,
part of the mystery.
there's literally nothing you can do.
So
You can
let's
just be
ask
like, yeah, it's an abandoned village.
The real question we want to ask is, what force could compel a seasoned tribe of Inuits to leave the safety of their homes without taking tools, food, weapons, or the dogs necessary for their survival in the harsh climate of the
I
tundra?
forgot about the dogs. Rest in
That
peace,
is important.
dogs.
Their kayaks are behind. Their food,
Yep.
their weapons, their coats.
Yeah, well, it
You,
depends.
you did say wood spirits, right?
What spirits?
Spirits of wood.
Wendigos.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Multiple
just-
Wendigos.
Let me propose some of the theories that
Okay.
people have thrown out there,
All right.
and then we'll play with each one by
We'll
one.
start with this. Yeah,
Okay.
it's easier to go this way.
This is going to come as no surprise.
Okay.
In the latter half of the 20th century, numerous ufologists, you see where this is going, and in all fairness,
blame the fucking graves.
no,
Well,
UFOs
we'll
were
get-
seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, blame
Speculated that the
graves.
residents of this remote Canadian village might well have been the unsuspecting victims of one of the largest mass alien abductions in history. This hypothesis is based in no small part on the Lawrence, remember the French trapping family,
yeah.
observations of the cylindrical/bullet-shaped object hurtling toward Anjikuni, as well as the bizarre blue light seen by the Mounties in the night sky above the
Yeah,
village.
but that's
But
all.
that's still
all
as
the-
sketchy as the dills.
I know.
Yeah,
that's
you're-
all the evidence.
You're pushing all the blame onto the Greys and/or the Draconians.
Yeah, or-
I'm sorry, Dracos. For
or
no
the
reason
Mantis folk.
other than you thought that you saw
The
some
Nordics.
shit.
Blue
Yeah.
lights and a can of Coors Light.
Ah, silver bullets killing
Wow.
werewolves. Yeah.
Well, it was a cylinder turned to a bullet, which is the
Yeah.
same thing anyway.
But in all fairness, this is one of the few things that would explain how every living soul in the village would manage to evaporate without a trace while in the thick of daily chores.
With alien abduction?
Sewing a fucking
Well,
sealskin
maybe.
part together.
Maybe.
I mean, what is the one paranormal/ufological/cryptozoological? I mean, what's the one overridingly
abduction-
Fortean thing that
the
takes you away
abduction,
from what you're doing in
yes,
the
the
middle of your doing
abduction,
it. Alien
yes.
abduction.
Right, but that doesn't mean that.
I'm not saying I'm thinking that's it. I'm just
Right.
know,
Well,
I
that
know.
doesn't mean there's other explanations and something else couldn't have done it. Like people always say, people disappear, so it's aliens. I mean, there could be shit we don't know, mini black holes.
Does anyone want to get into a little supernatural history of the north above the north, south, north
I hate snow ghosts.
Really? Ghosts of the North.
of the high north?
Demons of the cold.
Yeah, you're kind of on the right
That's
track.
another
the
cool
White
black
Walker-
metal.
White
That's a
Walkers?
no,
No,
well,
I know that's fiction, but sure,
Yeah,
why
but-
not?
How do you know?
You're right. I don't. Everything that's made up is real somewhere. In some dimension,
Maybe.
R.R. Martin's
Maybe.
name is being fucking cursed because fucking White Walkers are real.
dude, guard the wall, dude.
LaBelle himself told reporters that he believed that the Anjikuni people were now missing due to a run-in with the, and I quote, Eskimos' evil spirit, Torn Rark.
Torn Rark.
Yeah.
That's
Let that roll around your tongue for a while.
badass, that Torn
Suck
Rark.
that little fucking jelly bean for a bit.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Jeez.
That's pretty fucking creepy.
The demonic entity that LaBelle referred to appears to be, and this is some research I did,
Okay.
a misspelling of Torn Garsuk, also known as Torn Gasuk,
Oh, fuck's sake. Pick one.
Renatic, Torn Gasok, Tungan Gayak, and Torn Narsuk.
How many fucking
That was Klingon as
Yeah, I was
fuck.
gonna say, did you-
because honestly, I cannot.
That was
no,
Klingon.
I did research. I
You're
researched.
boarding a bird of prey.
What
when
I
you say
do,
that.
yeah, and I can't help but pronounce it like I'm Worf for fucking days because I do not know how to pronounce these words
Okay.
in the proper dialect.
That's a lot of fucking pronunciations.
But
and
let's go with the Torn Rark because that's pretty bad.
Okay, so Torn Rark
Who,
is
according to Inuit legend, is a
Okay, put
powerful
your hand down.
sky
Jesus.
deity.
My
I know.
God.
I feel like I'm a politician on the podium.
I know, you're like, blah.
But I want to say this:
All
is a
right.
powerful sky deity who is the leader of a legion of malevolent spirits.
Oh, all right. It's cool.
It's also worth noting that LaBelle, who according to Nelson was a stranger to the region, was familiar enough with its indigenous people and their customs to mention one of their most malevolent deities by name.
Indeed.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Nelson. Sergeant J. Nelson.
All right, I guess it was
You're-
torn.
Lord of the Lies.
Your first name is not Sergeant. It is your title.
It might be.
Mark made a mistake. Let it go.
I don't know. I'm picking on him, not you.
Taj.
How dare you?
How dare you?
This marriage is going to last, damn it.
God damn it. We're
Just-
gonna.
let's hold my hand. and let
We
me
all
read.
need the insurance. Shut up
Exactly.
to get along.
I
We
just-
so do.
I just
Shut
there
up and
for
get
free.
along.
Torn Rark.
Torn Rark sounds kind of. So, Edwards is saying
I
that
just-
the
I'm
Eskimos
not,
or the
This was his personal
the
opinion.
Inuits devil god with his legion of other devil.
He's a sky
Gods
deity
came
with a lot
down
of
and-
malevolent
okay.
spirits who came
All
down,
right.
said to be
Hey,
invisible
it's
to
possible.
all but Inuit shamans, who are known to
Well,
recite
oh,
incantations and make animal sacrifices in order to keep this so-called "quote-unquote" great devil at bay. This malicious being was said to be. I'm sorry. This malicious being was said to occasionally appear in animal form, such as that of a bear. You know, the polar bear, the hard to identify.
Isn't that like what the Thing did?
Oh yeah.
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 It's John Carpenter's The Thing. So it never was an alien. It
Is
was
it-
just the spaceship of Torn Rark. And they found it and
Why does
shit
Torn
ensued.
Rark sound like a Scientology deity?
I don't.
With
Yeah,
like Xenu.
probably because fucking
Torn
he
Rark.
knew his shit
It
enough
still
to
sounds
steal from
even
real
even the simple
tribes.
one sounds Klingon though. So.
Oh yeah,
Does,
it
yeah.
does. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
so that's
all
one of his ideas.
So how do we feel about the demon theory?
I mean,
Is there
I'm,
more, or is that?
That's that. No, there's more. There's more suggestions. Yes.
I'm always pro demon. I think I'm pro demon, but
I'm not ready to
I
go
need,
that
I need to
any
hear
of
my
those yet.
options.
All right. So we got ET, demon attack.
Okay.
Alien abduction, demon attack.
Okay.
This, I think, I've read a few of this online, but I think this is more to do with Steve Niles and Ben Temple Smith's 30 Days of Night, which is
Vamps.
Yeah.
when exposed to the kind of prolonged darkness that occurs when living in the land of the midnight sun, who knows what kind of insidious beast one may fall prey to. Nevertheless, as much as I'm excited about the idea of
Wait,
vampires eating people,
Are they bringing Vlad the Impaler into this shit?
just the idea that vampires can
man,
function
I don't know,
in this,
man.
it's not one of my favorite theories. In fact,
I'm
I don't
not
really
saying that
like
we
it.
have like proof of like a Sasquatch, but
The
do we have
utter-
any proof of
The
vampires?
utter lack of blood or any signs of struggle would seem to indicate that this is probably
Because
not a
they
mess.
Fucking suck the blood.
I don't think that. I mean, I think that's just some dumb shit. I put it in there because people have said it. Now we can move on.
Am I ignorant for writing vampires off completely? Is that my ignorance? If
No,
it is, tell me.
I don't. Well, you know,
I
what?
need to be no. I need
Listen,
to,
I think
a
there's probably something to it. But do I think?
mean-
Do I think they would pray an entire?
I mean,
just suppose, for
okay,
example, that
right.
vampires are real. Be they psychic, be they the blood-sucking variety. Let's just put that on the table for now and not discuss the merits of that. We'll save that for its own time. Would they? It would be like a farmer literally butchering every cow in the herd all at once, and then having nothing left. Like it makes no fucking sense to me that was how you
just slaughter the entire thing.
You just so I mean, for that reason alone, I'm hesitant to think.
All right, so Blade was a documentary. Is that what you're telling me?
Probably.
Okay, good.
Seems like
no, that was
one of my favorite Marvel movies, probably.
You mean like pre-Marvel, pre-MCU.
Marvel,
and you know, Blade 2, early Del Toro.
Oh, Blade 2 is the best.
Phenomenal.
I like Blade 3. I'm going to fuck. It's good.
Historical records, my friends, are chock full of stories of individuals and entire groups of people who just mysteriously disappeared. Without doubt, the most famous mass vanishing in North American history is the unknown fate of the citizens of Roanoke Colony, who were last seen alive in 1587. I could go on and on with similar cases, but to suffice it to say, there is a genuine precedent for unexplained disappearances. Some think they might have slipped into an alternate, care to take it?
Dimension.
Oh, snap. So those are the theories that are out there.
My song sucks. I know it. I accept
No,
it.
that was
I
Twilight
said no.
Zone.
Nobody said
You
anything.
terrible.
I saw your looks.
It was evocative.
This marriage will not last.
Oh my God! Why does it have to be like
See,
that?
already you're
Because
getting.
I'm already leaving.
You really?
I'm already leaving this.
You know
marriage.
I'm going to my mom's. I'm spending the night at my mom's.
Yeah. I'm going to Niagara Falls. Fuck you guys. I'm gonna go sleep in the falls.
Oh my God!
Okay, so there's variables here.
Lots of variables.
Yeah, there is.
I'm not inclined to necessarily think any of the.
I don't. Okay, so
the other shit is true.
Where they are located, though, did they go through that phase of 30 Days of Night?
Yeah.
Okay, so that thing that could play.
Well, you know, I should say I think so.
Yeah, but
I'm not
is it
100%
complete
sure.
dark,
See,
or is
I
it
don't know
like
the longitude,
Twilight?
latitude. I don't know how
Right.
that works. So I say yeah, but honestly, I don't know.
Okay. I think, honestly, because of how remote these people are living, like just how deep they are into the cold, like, I mean, shit, anything could happen. Whether something nefarious, or they're just like, you know what, fuck this spot.
All right,
we're bailing.
Let's go to legit shit.
Okay.
If not that I don't know anything about Inuit history or
No, me neither.
intertribal raids
No,
or
no
anything
idea.
like that. I probably should have looked it up. I didn't. But assuming that they function like a lot of other human beings, maybe at certain periods villages attack other villages during times of
like
stress or dire need.
Like Native Americans
But
back in the day.
That doesn't seem to be the case simply because no evidence of struggle,
there's no
of
blood,
bodies,
no
of
nothing,
blood, of the what the victors would do, whether it was the people that, if the people that lived there were the victors, they'd be there.
Right.
If the other group were, then they'd take all the shit that was valuable.
Maybe.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
So I don't believe that's the case.
they obviously were
Maybe.
like
Well-
superstitious people. Well, not superstitious, but
Like all-
supernaturally aware.
Yeah, of course.
Because they have shamans and they're sacrificing animals. That, I mean, how hard would it really be for one of them for something to happen?
Yeah, but like
see,
what?
I don't know.
What do you mean,
a-
like Book of the Dead, Evil Dead shit? Like they conjured something?
No,
or
no,
do you
no,
mean?
like something legitimately happened, and they're like, "Oh shit, that's a bad sign. We need to get the fuck out of here."
Okay,
and
but
then
that-
they just bolted.
That doesn't explain the desecration of the 1 to 20.
Okay,
and let's go on the
Yeah,
err
well,
on the
that's
side of one.
that's
grave.
another
The
that's
desecration
variable.
of the grave
Starvation
is
of the
interesting,
dogs.
yeah.
If the dogs were tied up,
Yeah,
it's
right.
still
Right.
iffy. It's still iffy that
There's
they get
another
starved that
variable.
quickly.
Okay.
But why wouldn't they go back to the village? And still, even if it is, I mean, if there's a supernatural deity and the shaman says we all have to get into 3 kayaks, or
Right.
however many can fit 30 people, leave all our shit behind, sail out into the middle of the lake, and wait for the evil to pass, and then they all drown in a blizzard.
Right.
That's real extreme shit. You can't take your gun. You can't take your food. Don't put on your coats. We have to leave enough boats on shore so that the demon is fooled, thinking we're still home. I mean, this is a convoluted mess that would
Yeah.
that would end in them losing their lives without any trace of them.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that's assuming that everything was left that he claims was left.
Well, of course.
Like
but
I
you
said-
have to accept that, or then everything's out the
well,
window.
he doesn't. I mean, he says all, but what does all mean? Like, if he says he left all the guns, did he really go and count every fucking gun in every?
In all fairness, it wasn't. I don't believe it was LaBelle that said the guns were all there, though it might have been. I
Not
thought
just
it was
guns.
the
I'm
Mounties.
saying just.
The food, the
Right.
Who
fish.
knows? What if everyone had a couple guns? What if everyone had? Maybe it was a little bit of paranoia and something happened. They're like, just take one fucking thing we need,
Right,
and
then
we're
get
out. So maybe if
Yeah.
everyone had 2 guns, a gun's gonna be left.
Right.
there's still discrepancies between the fire and
It's
the
just there
food
is.
and the
I don't
fucking
see enough
dogs.
to tie aliens into this. Besides, like they saw some things in the
No,
sky,
a
but
shiny
like,
bullet cylinder,
yeah,
and then
Well, all right, no, I agree. It's shaky as the dills, but let me play devil's advocate on that front. There was a UFO seen during that exact time period heading in that direction by the Laurent family.
one sighting though.
There was also strange lights above the village seen by the mounted police.
Okay, the RCMP.
St. Elmo's fire.
There was no trace
There you
of
go.
tracks leaving the village.
Mm-hmm.
Windy day, blizzard, easy enough to cover up that. But
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
just trying to
Okay.
compile a series.
All right.
There's some. To jump to the idea that they were abducted by aliens to me is a huge leap of faith. One I'm not willing to make, but I can see why a lot of people would be like, well, if they're not going up, where the fuck are they going?
Right.
And that's the other thing. Even if, like Chris said, they're leaving one of their guns behind for every two they take, in what circumstance do the women and children also leave? This is not a hunting party. If you're not abandoning your village, if your village is still standing and can support life and fire and warmth and survival, you don't take your whole village with you.
No, that's why I said there had to be some. If they are still a little bit old school and they had this. They saw something they thought was an omen, just something.
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying was that
We don't
like
know the
something-
village. If it just took one stupid little fucking
that
thing.
there was a seal missing a flipper, and they're like, "We're fucked."
Or like I said,
We gotta
if they're
get outta
nomadic,
here.
maybe they go off somewhere else and come back to the place. They just
Right.
maybe never made it fucking back. That was just
Or,
the
I mean,
final
if
time they
they're-
left and never came
If
back.
there are
That's a legitimate possibility.
like
it really is.
if there is like intertribal warfare,
Yeah.
then it may have been something as simple as like we saw some scouts. We don't have time to get our shit. We just need to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about
I don't
Inuit
either.
culture.
I would think you
nothing.
would want to defend your food stores
Nah, I would
and your
too. I would
village.
too.
But I don't know.
It's
No.
definitely weird that he shows up in the it's like a snapshot in time. All of a sudden, bam.
Yeah, if that's
everyone's gone.
what it was.
Right.
All right, let's discuss the elephant in the room. A mass low blood sugar. They all are craving some Fritos and some seal meat.
Yeah.
The diabetes is setting in.
Do they eat shrooms too?
They leave en masse.
Okay.
They accidentally
because
eat
of diabetes.
some psychedelic fucking sea lion
Fro-
meat.
Dude, they went to the North Pole.
Psychedelic. Oh, there was Santa.
They needed sugar. They went to see goddamn Santa.
There was Santa.
They
Oh
rode
my
a
God.
narwhal.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, wait, no, wait. A plague hits the North Pole. Only afflicts the elves. They're ancient people. They've been around long before Santa. They're the wonderful kids of the woods, the people that help bring this world into being, but somehow they can't live in it anymore. Their time has come. Their time is passing. Tolkien will tell you about it. Don't worry about it.
All right.
When things are over,
Okay.
Santa, is he going to stop making toys? Sure, he only makes it for a couple of good, really Catholic kids that live in Mexico. I mean, he's not
the
widespread
Catholic
anymore.
kids get presents.
He's not widespread anymore.
Okay.
I'm
I
just
don't
saying
know, man.
Santa's got a little.
Fine.
All right. Let's drop my assertion there. He still wants to make kids for everyone, but he can't because his elves are dead.
He has to call upon the people.
He calls upon the people of Anjikuni, the noblest people of the
Okay,
North,
okay,
and says,
yeah.
"Listen, you don't need to bring your guns. I've got plenty of food.
So Santa Claus
Hey,
brought them.
Should,
okay,
should I wear my sealskin jacket, Santa? I got a parka for you right here, buddy. Everyone hop in the sled. Guess who gets to live forever? Eat candy canes, drink eggnog, make toys.
Yeah.
The Anjikuni bitches.
That's see.
All right, so
Oh, fucking
Santa,
problem solved. This is the
Santa
first happy
aside-
ending we've ever had.
It was, they all.
It was Santa.
really is. It became fucking
I-
elves in the North Pole.
Dude, it really makes more sense
It-
than aliens.
It sure
God,
does.
It does, yeah. It's surprisingly
Oh,
does.
Santa is
Okay.
so fucking real.
So Santa and aliens aside, the paranormal aspect I think is kind of cool. I think it's got a fun cinematic twist to it. A mass exodus like that, 30 people or 2,000 people,
Even if it was 54, it's still
30
weird.
people, I could see 30 happening more than I can see 2,000.
Of course.
Well, still, yeah.
2000
So-
is patently absurd.
What's more interesting, though, is that there seems to be this internal fight with everyone involved. Like, well, you're talking shit and you're lying and you're making this up.
Yeah.
And the RCMP goes as far as to make a website to be like, this is not true.
But they inexplicably blame Frank Edwards
Yeah.
from 1959.
Yeah,
they
well, that
do.
doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
That
So
makes no sense.
I'm going to go with that. It has to be. I feel like it has to be small. I can't believe. 2,000
no, I'm going to say it's got to be 30 people.
that's
30
it's
people
still a solid
definitely.
big village. There's no way
Yeah.
they searched every single.
Yeah, there's no way.
thing.
That would be a gigantic village.
If only, not if it's 2,000. If there was 30 to say 70 people living there,
that
easily you could check those.
So I'm gonna just call 3,000 is not a thing.
I think we all are in agreement on that.
All right, cool.
There's just no fucking way.
And the only source for it again is Boren Blundell. Fine authors, I'm sure.
Right.
Not here to judge, but that just seems like their source was just out of proportion.
That's impossible. How do you investigate that many households? That many? You just
It
can't.
just doesn't make
No, you
sense.
can't.
No, especially when there's snowdrift. You can't track anything
That's
at
some
that
28
point.
days later meets John
Yeah.
Carpenter's The Thing. That's too much. It's a sprawling
Yeah.
mass of nothing.
Bizarre.
It is bizarre.
Definitely weird.
I think
Some
I can,
of the facts
I'm
I
willing
think
to
are
believe,
shaky.
Of
We've got
course, almost all the facts
we're
are shaky.
We're shaky.
But even if you go to the lowest common denominator of the facts,
Right.
30 people, fine. One grave disturbed.
Right.
Still weird by Inuit
Still
things.
strange, yeah.
Dogs were tied to scrub brush. Okay, fine. It wasn't a
Starved.
supernatural force that compelled them to rather starve themselves than go into the village and eat. But why would they leave one of their most precious resources
Yeah, it's true.
behind?
It's
Even
true.
if they were making a mass exodus, they would take their dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it was just 3. Maybe they already had a bunch. Maybe they were dying. Maybe there could be plenty of reasons.
True. You're right, because everything we can say for can have an against.
An against, yeah,
and that's
totally.
fine.
Yeah.
That's part of the
But
joy of that.
one grave doesn't make sense. I mean, that's oddly specific.
Yeah,
the
but
ground,
I mean, even
the
with
ground's
one
gonna be
grave,
frozen. It's
like-
perfect, and then there's
Single
one-
zombie?
I'm like,
A single zombie can take out 30 people.
Single zombie.
not
comes
if it's
back
a
from
Romero zombie.
Well,
Yeah,
as
no.
much as, and God bless George Romero. A
R.I.P.
saint.
George Romero.
You're going to make me go down that hole. But still, that meant say maybe it's more of like a crazy Evil Dead zombie.
Like something came out.
Like
honestly,
Torn Rark came down,
yeah, like
possessed the
something.
one guy.
Something came out of the ground
gently
and killed
placed
the
his
fucking
rocks in
village.
place.
Yeah, but it cut itself out perfectly. Like they say, it could not have been done. They said it. You know what I mean? They said it was
They said it couldn't be done by an animal.
right,
the way they were
which to
laid
me
out.
means
Okay.
it was perfectly.
But he could have come out of the grave, or she,
Right.
full of the demon's wrath, and still have OCD, and be like, nope, there's
Right.
two neat piles, two neat
That's what I
motherfucking
mean.
piles.
Came out in a way that they made sure they would know
Oh,
that it's
but-
not animals.
But,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it could have burst out in like this hellish fury, and then be like, oh, I can't have this. One rock gently placed
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
next rock next to it.
Smooth out the sides of the
I'm
hole.
gonna kill
Yeah.
this fucking village as soon as I'm finished making
You
this
might
grave
call
look
it
tidy.
OCD. I call it controlling my universe.
You
That's
know,
how I function
It's
as a
funny.
human.
I wasn't
right?
indicting you personally, but I'm
think
so
you are.
glad for that confession.
I think you are. I think you're indicting
So
it.
when you come back from the dead, a victim of Torngark, are you gonna fucking make a tidiness
Yes,
of your
as a
grave
matter of
before you go
fact, I
slay
will.
the fucking town?
Yes, and my hair will look nice when I come out of my grave too.
I'm sure.
Exactly.
I can't help. It's to me. It's like one of those old '80s Hong Kong
It
horror
does
films.
seem
Oh,
kinda
that's-
like
yeah,
it.
that's the deal.
And everything's blowing like
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And,
And it's a
flying
zoom,
everywhere,
and there's
then
weird
zooms in.
lights.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's all Sam Raimi as the Dickens.
yeah. There's fog machines, but they're fast fog machines, not slow. It's like fast
Oh,
wind
yeah,
fog.
yeah. Well, almost like a Cemetery Man.
That would be a really good horror film.
That would be too.
One demon possessed court, the guy that was done wrong, or the girl that was banished because she fell in
Yeah.
love with like the chief's son, but he banged her out, but then acted like he was too good for her, so she dies alone and pregnant and takes her own life. And then the evil deity comes down and says,
Wow.
"I will let," because that's like every fucking
It's-
Indonesian.
No, yeah.
Susanna black magic revenge film, like it's the good
Yeah, no,
girl
it is,
who's a
yeah.
solid true believer who is only doing noble things, gets shit on by everyone, and says, "I will turn to the dark arts and make all of you pay."
No, that's the deal.
And that's what happened.
And then her body detaches from her fucking.
Oh yeah, like the
body.
Monegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mystics in Bali, all the classics.
Yeah, it's.
Shit.
I want an army of heads, flying heads.
Oh, flying heads make
Yeah.
every movie better. Period.
Yeah.
So
Facts.
how do we end this? What do we say?
I think
I don't know.
I want to visually see
I don't know. I want to. I
a
want it to
demon
be.
battle with fucking Santa and his reindeer sleigh.
Okay.
I really want that in my heart to be the truth.
The whole
know.
RCMP in their like being adamant that it didn't happen.
That's a little dubious to me.
That's
Like,
what
it
makes me
is.
think
Test
of a
too
cover-up.
much.
A little bit of a cover up. What happened? What was there? Who was there? What was going on? What did they find anything at all? We don't know.
It's a very real possibility.
Barry's
if they
2
found
months
something
old, questionable.
they could not explain, would they not have covered it up just to make their lives a little easier? Now, of course, right now we're pissing theories. I'm the first to admit that's not based on anything. That's just wild,
Right.
creative speculation.
Yeah.
All right.
But the thing is, at the very least, if the bare bones minimum of this story is true, and there was an unexplained missing village, granted they're nomadic, but leaving behind precious goods, things you need to live, like some of your dogs, your weapons, your food, and your fucking coats, and your kayaks, and everything else, and the thought of a whole village leaving at once with no obvious indication of a fire or something that would force them all away,
Right.
that doesn't make any sense. That's not how villages work.
No.
That much I know.
But
The elderly, the children, the women stay behind, make sure everything's safe and secure, while the men seek the food that'll get you through these cold months. And you wouldn't all leave unless it was an emergency or something very terrifying.
Yeah, for me that's still the easiest answer because I think that is possible.
Could a UFO have hovered over the village, terrified them all because they thought it was some malignant deity from one of their old legends, and they're like fucking out. And they froze to death.
Well, yeah,
or,
if they saw something in the sky that what they saw in Russia
Like
just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, out.
Yeah,
And
an
done,
inadvertent UFO homicide. Like, what would it be? Manslaughter or unwitting? I don't know what you call it.
No, act of God.
But like if a UFO was just chilling out saying, hey, what's up? And they're like, fuck, we got to go. Which is an understandable reaction, by the way. I would have the same
Well,
one.
I mean...
And they accidentally killed themselves when it was just some curious ETs.
I don't think they did that.
I'm not saying they did. I'm
They
just
may
saying
have
these
booked,
are all theories.
But I feel like this was probably a dime a dozen occurrence back when the first proto-humans and maybe Homo sapiens were trying to figure out the world, and they saw a comet, and they're like, Bill, we got to get the fuck out of here.
That's true.
And they just take off.
They ruined their entire
Could you
family
imagine
line.
the
Like,
first
at that point,
people to see a fire because of like lightning?
Yeah, you'd be
and
freaking
they're
the fuck
they're
out.
hungry,
Oh,
they're
no,
hunting,
that's-
and there's like an
Well,
orange,
that's the burning bush that's
orange
talking
over.
to
Yeah,
Moses.
and they're like,
a lightning strike.
dude, I don't know what that is. Let's
Or
just
God.
just go, just continue on.
Yeah.
Don't look.
Like we were saying earlier, as far as them being like,
But in all fairness,
mystics or whatnot.
This is still
like
the
superstitious.
1930s, and granted, they're a very isolated tribe, and they don't have access to like the cutting edge technology of 1930. As much as we were disparaging it for being 1930s.
I mean, if they did,
before,
No, I know.
They still might.
but if they
be
still
aware.
had, if they still had a shaman,
Right.
They-
Like traditional
could-
medicine makes sense.
I feel like it wouldn't take a lot. Like a shamans are like leaders, so if there's like, well, the time has come, doodly do happen.
Yeah.
Just take what you need and go.
it's a real possibility.
And
It
so
really is.
people could easily. I'm sure they had more than one fucking thing of clothes.
right?
All right.
So people show up and there's some clothes and some shit left, and it's like, dude, they left everything. And I'm like, well, you don't
Was
know
it? But
that.
was it really everything? But even still, why is the RCMP covering it up? Why?
And why was the
I know
fire
you're
still
obsessed
burning?
with that. I know.
I know I can't get over the RC because I expect better
Yeah,
from them.
I know there's variables
If you
that
told
make
me
it
the
weird.
FBI or the CIA, I'd be like, well, yeah, duh, that's what they do. But not the RCMP, goddammit.
I believe in them. They're good
mean,
people.
I know.
But remember when we believed in the Japanese leading our way into the future, and then they hucked rocks at the UFO that they threw in the oven?
Yeah, I know.
Things break
Shit.
our heart from time to time.
Why does everything let us down?
I'm not ready to table the Santa theory.
No,
I
I don't
really
think
see.
you should.
I see something beautiful in that.
I think you should. I think that-
childlike and wonderful.
Yeah.
Santa saved the Anjikuni people, and they live in his kingdom of
well, I mean,
eternity.
didn't he technically enslave them?
No, they're there.
You don't think it's an enslavement
Listen, they
type
can
of-
leave anytime they want.
Okay,
Do they
all
want to
right.
be immortal and
All
eat all
right.
the sweet reindeer meat and candy canes and wonderment?
They eat
Sure.
reindeer meat?
Who wouldn't? You need to eat something meat. You need something to keep up your red blood
So
cells.
as Santa's reindeer are
You
like
don't eat Rudolph. You
no,
eat the,
but I'm saying that
the
they're
ones that
there
can't fly.
and you're eating them.
the unflying ones.
The children of the fucking reindeer you're gonna eat?
Can they fly?
No. Well, I mean, I guess.
Well,
I
the
don't-
ones that can
well,
fly get tethered. The ones that
wasn't-
can't fly, right in the old maw.
So are we gonna say that they went to Santa?
I really want to.
Okay, I'm gonna say act of God. Something happened and they got lost. Chris?
You mean they left
Yeah, that they
of their
left.
own volition
Of their own
because some
volition,
bullshit?
yes, I think they
I
did.
feel like that's the most reasonable.
Oh, wait. We talked about Santa a second ago, and now you're saying that's reasonable?
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it's only the
Welcome
second
to
most
our-
reasonable after
welcome
Santa.
to our marriage, where I play
Yeah.
both sides of the coin to get
I
what
see,
I
I
want.
see what you did.
Dude, the shaman was like the narwhal calls, and they bucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Toward the narwhal.
Yeah, it could be.
lake.
I just love, though, the fact that LaBelle really thought it was this classic sky demon who had an army
Yes.
of other sky demons.
There-
Now, I'm not saying I want to believe they're sky demons,
No.
because Lord knows that's a horrible world to live in.
No,
But
no,
Jesus,
it
that's
sucks.
frightening and kind of awesome
Yeah,
I
in
mean,
a
fuck's
terrible
sake,
way.
I mean, look at. Okay, Santa Claus aside, and then
Yeah.
actual what could have possibly really happened. Close third is going to be Sky Demon. You always go with Sky
I don't.
Demon.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a close
It's
third.
a close third.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
Jesus.
you have the joy and the wonderment and lies of
No,
Santa Claus.
listen.
And then you have the actual what could have possibly happened. They left, but then you have the fucking ultra super other side horror version of fucking the sky demon
Why
comes
can't
down.
the demon
Dad.
have clashed with the claws? Like Torngark could have easily fought with Santa over who gets to have the
Wasn't
Anjikuni
that a
people.
movie? No, it was Krampus versus Santa.
The evidence would
Yeah.
point more to a vampire third over the demon because of the grave, I feel.
Right.
All right.
That's
Honestly,
true.
let's go back to the Evil
that's
Dead
true.
theory.
Yeah, that's true.
The idea of a possessed
We're going to
crawled
rank
out.
theories.
Could have
then.
crawled out. I still think that
Rending the
Sky Demon's a
flesh.
close third, though.
But maybe it's both. Maybe the vampire is
There's not really
infused
evidence
with
of
Sky
that, though.
Demon.
There's like not even close. At least there's a grave, so it gives me something to work with. So, like I said, it's
Like most things, the amount of evidence that we have is
Scant.
yeah,
questionable.
or it's
and
like laser
scant.
blast and
Dubious
some
as shit. Oh,
Laser blast.
that's a great movie.
I-
Fucking love that movie.
it left some shit.
Or
and some
is
dude
this like
found
a
it.
village-wide Last Starfighter?
Like they were all recruited
Yeah,
because
they
they're
were
the
all
best.
By
recruited.
Starly?
But by what?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, and the
They
fucking
left. They just
Kodan
drop an
Armada?
arcade in the fucking middle.
Could you
of it.
imagine?
It could happen more than Santa, I think.
All the villagers. You are all the best.
You are all
Star
you are
League
all the
needs
Last
you.
Starfighter, yeah, could be.
Wow, Emperor Zur and the Kodan Armada needs you to fucking kill
Oh,
them dead.
you need to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
The greatest armada ever, for
Yeah,
the record.
clearly.
The Kodan Armada.
All right,
Well,
there you have it. That is our take
All right, so
on.
can we all agree that the Kodan Armada was involved?
Yes, the
Because now that we've
okay,
said that,
fine. The Conan Armada.
What
was
do we
there.
do now?
All right, fine.
God,
We die.
oh, it's the best line ever. I
pretty
desperately
good. That is
need
pretty good.
Hong Kong pre-1997 to go back and make Santa Claus versus the Sky Demon versus the Star Command versus
I
the
love it.
Kodan
Torn,
I love it.
torn,
Bring it.
Torn Gark,
Gark,
Snark,
Gark.
Snuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's such a good movie.
And
Need to
on that
happen.
note,
I
there
know.
is our take on the Village of the Dead?
Village of the Dead.
Holy
the
shit.
Anjikuni
Village
Mystery.
of the Dead, the Anjikuni Mystery.
At least we kept it real. You know, a lot of times people are like, you go off the deep end, guys. Be serious. And this time I think we really did a good
No, I
job.
think we nailed it with
Yeah.
Santa. I really think that Santa nailed it. I really do.
Guys that go off the deep end.
Yeah, I think that we
Nope.
we totally
This
got it with
time we
Santa.
kept the straight and narrow and kept science where it belongs.
That's right.
Square in Santa's sleigh.
Dude, I hope literally like when everything's done and we're all dead, we go to a place and we get all the knowledge of these things that what really happened.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And we can
that'd be
actually
cool,
just
man.
like we can watch it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like a
the show.
super library where it's just like, oh, you want to know if
Yeah.
Loch Ness Monster was ever real? Here you go. It's like,
Yeah. No.
what happened to the Anjikuni people? I'll be damned.
It was Santa.
Yeah, just
was
the
Santa.
not even just the weirder shit ever. It was like some living abominable snowman. Like just the crazy shit you wouldn't even
Yeah.
think would happen. Like
Yeah.
immortal seals came and they're like, it's time. And they're like, oh fuck.
Immortal Seals. All right, so there you have it. Thank you for joining us for the Kryptonaut Podcast. Be sure to rate and review this show on the iTunes and the Apple Podcast apps. Be sure to hit us up on the social medias, the Instagrams, the Facebook, the Twitters. Let us know what you think about
Twitter.
Anjikuni. I know a lot of you guys out there, you're going to send me your theories, so send them on over. I'm stoked to hear what you guys are going to say.
Yeah.
You know what? It could be Santa Claus.
Conquers the Martians.
Exactly.
Conquers the
Conquers
Anjikuni.
Torn Gargamel.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes an alliance with the Kodan Armada.
Immortal seals.
There you have it.
Immortal
and
Seals for life.
We're talking to you soon. Peace.
See you out the snow.